Okay, so that's Paul's perspective on suffering. Let's look at his perspective on living. And we find that in verses 19 to 26. He says in verse 19, "For I know that this will turn out for my deliverance through your prayers and the provision of the Spirit of Jesus Christ, according to my earnest expectation and hope, that I will not be put to shame in anything, but that with all boldness Christ will even now as always be exalted in my body, whether by life or by death." So here he's referring to his upcoming trial. And he wants to bear a bold testimony for Jesus Christ before Caesar. He doesn't want to shrink back from declaring this bold testimony to Jesus Christ. Now he knows if they acquit him, he'll live. They'll set him free. If they condemn him, he's going to die. And so if they execute him, he says, I'm going to exalt Jesus Christ because before I'm executed, I'm going to declare boldly the gospel to the emperor and to anybody else who's listening. So I'm going to exalt Christ if I die. But if I live, I'm going to exalt Christ because I'm going to go back to work serving the churches and teaching them and planting churches and raising up disciples and men of God. So no matter what happens to me, I'm going to exalt Christ. That's what he's saying here. So that Christ will now as always even be exalted in my body, whether by life or by death. So he wants to have this bold testimony and not be put to shame when it comes to making testimony for Christ. And then notice verse 21. Paul gives us his philosophy of life here. He says, "For to me, to live is Christ, and to die is gain." So he wasn't living for money or fame or pleasure or power, which are the four big things that you find that people usually will live for. Money, fame, pleasure, or power. Paul was living for Christ. "For to me to live is Christ." The object of his life was to love and worship and serve Jesus Christ. His life was wrapped up in Jesus Christ. It reminds me of William Booth, who was the founder of the Salvation Army in England in the second half of the 19th century. He once was asked to sign a book of the king. So when he was asked to sign the guest book for King Edward VII, he summed up his life's work. He wrote this: "Your Majesty, some man's ambition is art, some man's ambition is fame, some man's ambition is gold. My ambition is the souls of men." Similar in some respects to the way Paul summed up his life. To live is Christ. So what is your philosophy of life? Does yours match Paul's? Can you say, "For to me to live is Christ"? Now if you ask some people, what's your philosophy of life? What are you living for? They might say, "For to me to live is money, and to die is to leave it all behind." Or "For me to live is fame, and to die is to be forgotten." Or "For me to live is power, and to die is to lose it all." Or for me to live is Christ plus money, or pleasure, or fame, or power. I want it all. I want it all together. Paul didn't answer that way. For to me to live is Christ. And I want all of us this morning to really consider, where is our heart today? Where is our passion? What is our focus and direction? Can we truthfully say, "For to me to live is Christ"? We need to be able to say that. We need to be of a single mind. We need to be able to say that my life is wrapped up in Jesus and his gospel and his kingdom and his glory and his honor. He should be our one true passion in life, so that everything else we do, and we will have many other things that we do in life, but they all revolve around Christ, and we're looking for ways to honor and glorify him in our work, in our play, in our recreation, in our relationships. In all that we do, Christ is to be honored, and we're to seek the advancement of his cause in the world.